So today I'm going to be doing a foundation review, some foundations that I use. Alright, today's video is going to be on foundation, and basically it's going to be concerning pale foundations, as I've got a lot of questions recently about how do I achieve pale foundation. You know, we all know how dark NC15 is by MAC, and I do use MAC, so how do I achieve such a pale foundation? Basically, MAC do NC15 as their lightest shade in most formulations of foundation that they have. They also do white in a couple. They've got pure white face and body, that's one thing. And they've also got pure white full coverage foundation. Now, both of these products can be mixed in with NC15 formulations to achieve lighter shades. Face and body happens to marry incredibly well with Studio Fix fluid. So basically, my holy grail foundation is these two products mixed together. So you've got NC15 Studio Fix and pure white face and body. Mix these together in about a 50-50 ratio, there or thereabouts. I mix mine in a mortar like this, and just a paintbrush, just mix it together. Obviously the ratio is completely up to you, depending on what colour you're trying to achieve and what consistency you want. More Studio Fix in NC15 is going to give you a darker and more full coverage result, and more face and body in white is going to give you a lighter and less full coverage result. But basically, these two for me, perfect. Mix these together and set with something like Illamasqua's 115 powder, loose powder. Set with this, or set with MAC's porcelain setting powder, which is literally pure white. Obviously it's just porcelain. Porcelain. There are other ways of making pale foundation. As I said, you have pure white full coverage. Pure white full coverage can be mixed with NC15 full coverage to give you a yellow based pale foundation. This is what I also use when I'm doing like photo shoots and things. Full coverage looks flawless, and that would be my mix. I have some already mixed up. Again, the ratio is up to you depending on what colour you want. If you're not yellow based, then obviously you can just buy their W10 shade. Full coverage comes in W10, and W10 is an incredibly pale pink based foundation. Full coverage, beautiful. I'm not pink based though, so I wouldn't wear that. Another full coverage option for you is to take Studio Sculpt. Studio Sculpt by MAC is a gel foundation. It's the only sort of gel foundation that they really have, and it's quite a good foundation, but the only thing it really mixes with to make it lighter is the Rich Liquid Foundation by Illamasqua in pure white, or in 105, which is just off-white, slightly pink. These two products are very, very similar consistency, so they mix together very, very well. You can't mix something like these two, because this goes disgracefully disgusting, so don't do that. You mix these two. Another option is to just go with Illamasqua. Illamasqua actually specialise in lighter skin tones, so they have foundations which are incredibly pale without mixing, much lighter than NC15. Or NW15, of course, if you're pink based. The one I'm particularly thinking of, as I've mentioned it a few times, is their 115 shade, which is their palest skin tone shade. And they do this in the light fluid, which I have here. Very nice foundation. The problem with this foundation is it's very hard to work with, because it like dries very, very quickly, which means that you don't have time to use a brush like this and then connect patches together. You really need to use a brush like the 188 or the 187, which is just a larger version, or a big kabuki brush, and you can buff that foundation in, and that would be lovely. But using a brush like the 190 by MAC is just going to be really messy, and you're not going to get a very nice result. Alternatively, you can just apply the sponge, that's fine as well. Okay, so that one is a pale foundation that involves no mixing, which is really quite lovely. As far as powders go, you've got Studio Fix Pastels by MAC. MAC do Studio Fix Pastels in Shivering White, which is a pure white powder foundation. And I use that as a cheek highlight. It's really, really good. Illamasqua do a very, very similar one, which is the white powder foundation. Still, I think I prefer the MAC one, Shivering White. It's really, really decent. I wouldn't recommend setting your foundation with this. I think it's quite cakey, so I wouldn't recommend setting all over with that, but it's a brilliant cheek highlight. As far as setting goes, I'm going to keep saying it, porcelain loose powder, or 115 Illamasqua loose powder. Brilliant. Illamasqua also do pressed powder in white. You can set all over with this. This is lovely. Don't really like setting with pressed powders. Loose powders just set much, much better, but Illamasqua have got rid of their white loose powder, which is a real shame, because it was very, very good. It was much better than this MAC one, much better. But they've got rid of it, they've discontinued it, and it's not coming back, so gotta get over that. Setting brushes, either of these two by Illamasqua, or the 150 or something by MAC, perfect. Really are beautiful brushes for setting. If you want something light, then your options are the light fluid foundation in 115, or this mix here. Studio Fix, Face and Body. That mix, fantastic mix. This is my holy grail foundation. This is the one I recommend that everyone tries if you are looking for pale foundation. Beautiful. If you're looking for full coverage, then mix these full coverage together, or just use W10 if you're pink toned. This is NC15, this is pure white. They probably just look white on this lighting. Or the other full coverage option, if you are looking for a liquid, then these gel foundations mix beautifully and they create very high coverage foundation, which is beautiful as well. That concludes my pale foundation tutorial. Well, not tutorial, discussion. Just a bit of information really for people who are struggling to find paler foundations. Yeah, I would absolutely recommend you give any of these a go, particularly this mix. I'm going to keep saying it, particularly this mix. Don't forget to set your foundation. Please set your foundations. I hate unset foundation. Matte foundation is the way to go. Definitely. None of this shiny bullshit. Oh, obviously, these white products by MAC are pro products. If you can't get your hands on these because you're not near a pro store and you don't know what the number is or whatever that you have to do to mail order it, then look for Illamasqua. Illamasqua is definitely the way forward if you can't get MAC Pro. Illamasqua, I'm sure you will find what you need in Illamasqua. Obviously you can get your hands on this and this without being a pro member of MAC or whatever, without visiting a pro store. You can obviously get your hands on this, it's just standard Illamasqua. You can obviously get your hands on this, it's just standard Illamasqua, just standard Illamasqua. Blah. Illamasqua is a good way to go if you can't get MAC Pro. If you can get MAC Pro, try this, it's good. I think that concludes most pale foundation issues.